Okay, I guess we're ready for our session, and so glad to see a full house here. So hello all, and welcome to the Reinventing Manufacturing with Digital Twins session here at Ignite. We're witnessing a renaissance in life sciences manufacturing in the US. Recently, Wall Street Journal just published an article that states that in the life sciences industry, so far, just this year, there's been a pledge of $350 billion of investment in manufacturing and other operations. And one of the reasons for that is a mitigation of the tariffs and other geopolitical issues as well, and also resilience in the supply chain. So digital twins play a critical role in getting manufacturing plants set up right the first time before you commit to the physical build out of the site. And that is why reinventing with digital twins is so timely a topic to discuss. And so my name is Gaurica Chacko. I shouldn't put my hand here. And I'm the global account lead at Accenture in the manufacturing and life sciences medtech sector. And I'm really excited to welcome my panel here. So maybe we'll just have them introduce themselves. So we'll start with you, John.
Sure. Hi, John Hobgood. I am currently at GE Healthcare, leading our advanced manufacturing technology efforts, and grew up at Ford and Honeywell International for quite some time, and a little small startup in between there, and always been involved in manufacturing and technology operations.
Excellent. Thanks, John. Todd Mersch, first of all, thanks for being here. I know it's towards the tail end of a very long and probably tiring, but also hopefully interesting couple of days, so thanks on behalf of the team from Microsoft. I lead our life sciences business in the US. So that's pharma, medtech, distributors, health technology companies, really a wide variety of the ecosystem. I'd like to say anything but payer and provider. So I'm blessed that I get to see kind of how these organizations are transforming across their value chain, and manufacturing and the technology opportunities within manufacturing is a big focus for us.
Thank you. I'm Prasad Satyavolu. I lead Accenture's Industry X business. You will be hearing a lot of talk about 4.0, 5.0. Somebody very smart in Accenture came up with Industry X so that we can own it forever. So that's the business I lead in Accenture for Americas. I'm also head of physical AI work that Accenture does. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Prasad. Hi, everyone. I'm Aniket Deshpande. I'm the Global Business Development Lead for Ecosystems in HCLS. Basically, what I do is I work with our cloud partners such as Azure for building NVIDIA's technologies into HCLS. My background has been in science. I've been a bioinformatician and genomicist by training, worked in several startups before leading the go-to-market at AWS for HPC, and I've joined NVIDIA about a year ago. So really excited about this panel, especially bringing NVIDIA's AI stack into biomanufacturing.
That's great. So John, we'll start with you. Given the context that I just set, why are digital twins critical at this time in reinventing manufacturing today, both for greenfield and brownfield?
If I could start by saying with all the craziness in the supply chain and in operations over the last 5-10 years, whether it's hurricanes, ships stuck at the port, wars breaking out, health things breaking out over the globe, you need to have models of your manufacturing operation network and supply chain so you can react and adapt. In particular, Gaurica, when you talk about the greenfield, it's not a small investment to put up a factory somewhere. And it sure is nice to know when I build this thing and I fill it up with my automation and people and products, and I'm building it, that I do it right. Whether it's I left enough space for material to be fed to that line side, or what do you know, that drawing was wrong and I can't put that line there because there's a big structural column right there that's not on the print. If you're just looking at a print, in the old days, right, instead of a model that you can then validate these things together automatically. So whether it's a greenfield or you're moving things a lot, I think what's exciting is, manufacturing isn't just an afterthought anymore. It's really in prominence, a business enabler with all this dynamic things going on in the world. And so If you don't have a digital twin to analyze that before you make some of these commitments, you know, your competitors are, so you'll never win in the market.
And Prasad, would you like to add, given your experience in seeing this across?
Sure. John, you said it. I think the setup, the virtualization, provenance, designing for manufacturing, designing for autonomy, that's one of the key reasons that you need digital twins today. Of course, we'll deep dive into how, what, but the other key factor is when you hear about $300+ billion of investment coming into the country to build new facilities, you're looking at somebody working on the plant design, and then those plant designs go into the equipment, to the equipment providers, who will respond offline in this day and age with emails, and then you will change the design, and then you will do it again, and that propagation will lead to inordinate delays. We have done research, and about 80 to 85% of all new capital projects get delayed by minimum 40% overrun on budget and time. So as a result, your designed autonomy that you had in plan for 100% or 90%, by the time you are getting done, you are down to 30, 35%. So you've compromised on autonomy, you've compromised on your goals of productivity, and because that was not taken care at the front end of this, you are really ending up with a plant that is suboptimal, and then your OpEx costs increase when you start running the plant because you couldn't design for autonomy. So that's one of the key factors and the revolution that we are seeing it, and I will call it revolution because we have seen everybody use discrete event simulation engines from Siemens, from Delmia, Dassault, and all. But with Omniverse, we are able to now build digital twins that are truly physical replicas of the environments that you need to create. And that allows us to do two things. Number one, it allows us to do better collaboration in real time without the sequential process that I just described. And the second part is you can transfer that digital twin from a design phase of a plant to operate phase. And then you can do all the predictive maintenance, training, et cetera, that we'll speak more about. But that's how I see what John mentioned. It's really boiling down to brass tacks on how do you realize it.
So thank you for that. I think we've established that there is ROI with digital twin, and it's a great segue to the next question, which is leveraging technology. So how do digital twins enable future-ready, software-defined factories? Mm-hmm. And then it's a loaded question, sorry. And how does AI supercharge the digital twin? So maybe
two-part question.
Actually,
and why are you asking the technical? No, it's interesting when you think about any sort of transformation using technology. You kind of have some ticket to entry things, and data is one of them, right? Like, so I kind of think of sort of getting into your digital twin organized and implemented is getting the data that you need to transform. Right, so whether that's to bring AI into it, to drive more efficiencies through the process, to give people the ability to understand what's going on in a better way, to be predictive with how they're dealing with manufacturing opportunities and challenges, whether that's driving visualizations, if you don't have that kind of clean, rich data layer in place, it's not possible. And this is even harder in the physical world, right? Like you're trying to pull data together from different types of machines, and you're trying to integrate and organize that data in a way that's useful. So I think it's kind of table stakes for us kind of being able to take advantage of all the opportunities that are there when you layer things on top of that. We see customers doing everything from like the most exciting stuff around driving more yield and things of that nature, thinking about how they could maybe reorganize the facility to do more, to the most basic of just driving better quality training and education.
Right.
So it's been really interesting to see that inflection point and how we're kind of driving towards these new opportunities. But if you don't do this the right way foundationally, then you're not really in a position to take advantage of any of that. So I think there's that from that perspective. And then the other side of it is when you kind of zoom into life sciences and med tech side of it, I mean, there's so much going on around creating new molecules and driving that, but like getting that end-to-end value chain to be more efficient, effective, and getting that therapy to the customer when they need it and where they need it, it's just super important to save lives and to change lives. And as we use new technology to do things like discrete or prescriptive medicine, personalized medicine, specific cancer treatments just for you and the way that cancer is representing in your body, we need this type of capability to do that effectively, from the manufacturing all the way through to the supply chain and the delivery of that care.
And then I think you had an example of Copilot as well, right? Being leveraged if you think about it from an AI perspective.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, once you have that on there, you can envisage being able to have like a dialogue with this information as opposed to having like a static, just dashboard or something beautiful to look at. I think we were talking about that when we were kind of sitting around together earlier. This ability to ask questions, to understand what's going on in a more natural way has been honestly some low-hanging fruit for us. So once you kind of get this in place, it starts to drive interaction. It also starts to drive that process of the people and process side of it and getting people on board with the experience versus resistant.
Aniket, is there something you would like to add?
Yeah, I like that Todd started with the data because a lot of our customers also start with the data. And we see this question being asked across the drug discovery spectrum. So whether it's early discovery to like clinical trials to supply chain and manufacturing. The three trends that we see across all of these different sections is simultaneously happening. And somebody mentioned the word inception point, because the first trend that we're seeing is a lot of these applications, whether it's just for data processing, is being moved from CPUs to GPUs. We call it accelerated processing or accelerated computing. We saw that in the early stage genomics side, where I started my career from. The second big trend that I see is also in generative AI. And we see a lot of the applications which were kind of statistically or mathematically based are now generated by this generative AI. So for example, like AlphaFold was awarded the Nobel Prize, and we've seen a whole plethora of models being developed. So that's happening as well. The third one is in the physical AI, which Prasad kind of mentioned around Omniverse, which kind of ties into the first and the second trend as well. So we see that happening across all across the drug discovery spectrum, especially in the biomanufacturing space, and that kind of like lends itself to the transformation that my panelists were mentioning as well.
Thank you. So I think we've
Yeah, go
began.
ahead.
If I could add,
Yeah, add on,
if I
please.
could add, the data comments you guys are making,
Yeah.
and you said, Gaurica, AI is supercharging this digital twin transformation. When you're in a manufacturing environment, a lot of us are in companies that have been around for several decades, and you've got about, I was going to say 20, but it may be 100, 5,000 tables of data. You may collect your maintenance data over here and your test yield over here, and AI is going to supercharge by allowing you to stitch that together much more easily. I mean, like in seconds, right? Instead of having engineers pull out reports and try to glue it together with some pivot table and whatever, right? So I mean, it's really exciting what AI is bringing to the space.
Yeah.
So we'll stay with you. So what is your vision for manufacturing at GE Healthcare?
Well, if I could just take a step back, what are the outcomes we're looking for? I think this is all the guys here, and we've talked a lot together the last few days around return on investment. This is a business, we're trying to run our businesses better. What's our outcome we're looking for at GE Healthcare? And that's run our factories, run our supply chain network more effectively, optimizing that. 2, allowing us to be more flexible and move things where we need to, when we need to. And also launch products faster for our customers, like Todd touched on. We want to get these solutions and impact people's lives faster. That's what we're looking for with our manufacturing strategy. And if I touch on what our manufacturing vision is and what we're building, I just want to give you a few pictures to think about. One is, imagine you are wearing some augmented reality goggles and you're walking through a factory. Because everyone's, what's a digital twin? This is what I want to share a very practical view of it. You're walking through the factory, you got your goggles on, and you see the machine, and there's an overlay of that machine, and it shows you above there the number of parts that have been completed through that machine. Maybe the yield is on top of that. And when the yield drops below a certain number, it starts flashing, that number. We're below 99%. And then it could, what I really love about some of the tools in the ecosystem is it drives an action. You could get an IM through some tool like Teams or an SMS message on your phone and say, hey, technician, you need to go over to that tester. It's starting to get below the performance you need. And so you can react and make a business impact much faster. Or maybe it starts flashing red because the critical maintenance wasn't done in the last day that needs to, and that machine's gonna have a problem. So you don't have to wear goggles to see that in the digital twin world. You could have a report, you could have a screen up on the wall of the plant, right? But that's a good way to envision that we're looking for that kind of data to drive actionable outcomes every day, real time. The other things I think about are not just the factory, but we were talking about the movie Minority Report with Tom Cruise, where he's like moving the data around. And if you start thinking about your global logistics network, or maybe your global planning network, and now you start to get into predicting, where's my part gonna go to the customer? Oh no, there's this thing is happening over in that part of the world. And the only way you can react and be an effective company today is have that digital twin with those type of elements. I think the last two things that we're looking for is getting all this data in the right spot, like Todd talked about, to use AI on it and analyze it faster in a predictive way. And then the last thing I want to mention as part of our manufacturing strategy is people. We need to train our team members and make them expert practitioners in these basic tools so they can maintain them, use them, build them rapidly for some custom problem very quickly. So we need an ecosystem that the guys on the stage here provide, so we can also bring our people's capability up in this new world we're talking about.
That's great. That's music to our ears. So maybe just to follow on, how do you envision our partnership, right, with all the partners sitting here with you, enabling real-time insights? You touched upon that, automation and predictive analytics across both manufacturing and future operations.
I think the key thing is as a medical company building these devices that help people's lives, I'm never going to be able to invest in a core team to build these tools. I mean, some companies are choosing to do that, and I think it's a mistake. Instead, what I'd rather do is have my real smart manufacturing engineers providing thought leadership on the next problem, not spend a lot of time developing dashboards and things like that. I want to leverage the enterprise tools that are quite mature now, instead of trying to develop my own little software tools internally to optimize my operations. So that's where I think the partnership comes in, is I will never be able to invest what you as partners are investing to add features every day, to make it better and insight. I'll never be fast enough, and frankly, I don't have the resources to do that. And I'd rather put those resources on developing the next product that helps more people out there in the world.
That's great. Todd, is there anything else you would like to add from what you're seeing?
Well, I always think about, I mean, the opportunity, the cost of doing it the other way, right? And I mean, it ties back to what we talk about even just in why we're bringing AI into, everyone's world or into their businesses. And you talk about what a frontier firm looks like. The work that you would have your team doing otherwise is not the work that they even came to do in the first place, or the thing that they're the best at. So even like when you were talking about like they're chasing down spreadsheets and creating pivot tables, all of that just to get access to the information they need to bring their personal human ingenuity into the process that you're trying to run, right? So that opportunity to kind of disaggregate that, give them just what they need when they need it to bring their ingenuity, bring their ideas to life is super, super powerful. And whether that's in manufacturing or other parts of the enterprise or the value chain, right. I think that's what really resonates with me with what you were sharing. I was also thinking about when you're talking about your strategy and your plans, the diversity of kind of manufacturing facilities and capabilities across companies of your scale, right? Like you can have a manufacturing facilities within miles of each other that are hugely different in what they do, how they do it, and then how do you as a leader across all those properties get an understanding of what's going on, how it's working, where your opportunities are. It's really, really hard without something like this, without technology like this. And if you're spending all your time building the plumbing, you're not getting any value from that, right?
That's right.
The rate of change is also accelerating a lot. Like there's new models being released all the time. There's new VMs that are released as well. So like it's easier to like leverage that. Like a good part of our efforts is to make a lot of our NVIDIA inference microservices available as part of Azure AI Foundry. So customers would come in and leverage those accelerated models instead of building them from scratch. So the build versus buy is always a question, but sometimes speed is the best way to go.
So I'm going to pick up on the thread on human ingenuity. And, because at the end of the day, we're still in the business of people. Omniverse for training employees, right? We talk about Omniverse, and it's often used for simulation, but it has so many more use cases. So maybe if you could start with how is Omniverse used for training of employees, and then Prasad, if you could add to
Yeah,
it.
sure.
Yeah, maybe we start in what Omniverse is. I know Prasad mentioned it in his opening statement as well. It's a collection of APIs, data, models, SDKs that enable you to like simulate the physical world. It's built on an OpenUSD framework, which helps you aggregate disparate data sources. That was one of the comments you made as well, John. And it integrates with Azure and many of the services as well. So we see the applications in digital twins across many industries and increasingly in biomanufacturing. And when it comes to training employees, I think that's one of the table stake things we need to do. It helps you build that collaborative environment. It helps you integrate with your existing tool sets. We've been also spending a lot of time with our Inception partners, which is our startup program, in training these startups on Omniverse and our other libraries. And that's how we kind of like go to market when it comes to these SDKs and these models as well.
Cool. Let me give a very different perspective from a shop floor operations standpoint. So you have operators, you have production operators, lab technicians, quality technicians, and the maintenance workers. We all know what's going on in the country. We have a significant attrition in the maintenance side. Older generation is retiring, and that knowledge base is atrophying with them. So that's a real challenge, because the gap and the training duration that you have in training somebody who would rather flip burgers or do work in a warehouse than do anything in manufacturing, even you're paying 3 times the hourly rate. That's the key challenge here. So you're trying to do 2 things. You're trying to actually bridge that knowledge gap. Now, I've stood on a factory floor in Ohio where the plant manager came to me and said, used to take just 15 minutes to diagnose a problem and 2-3 hours maximum to fix it, and you are up and running in maximum 3 hours time, 3.5. Now it's taking half a shift, and I'm almost losing the day's production, basically. That is the reality today, because diagnostic skills itself are a premium. So how can this help? So there are 3 elements of workforce training. You have to onboard, you have to train, and you have to upskill continuously. And now the digital twin environment that we have created, what we are doing at Accenture is we are not just using the Omniverse digital twin, simulation digital twin for just that purpose of building our operations twin. But we have integrated this to enterprise asset management system for work order execution for any maintenance defects as soon as there is a repair order that comes in, or anything as a predictive alert that comes in. So this context in which a repair work is carried out is captured by employees. We've incentivized them in several plants, several clients, to see that they record what they have done. There is work order history, there are parts repaired. In the context of that 4th robot on the line 3, when oil seal was leaking, this is what happened, these were the conditions, this is what I did. And that feeds into the enterprise knowledge brain, as we call it. And now you have your standard operating procedure trainings that are available as videos or 3D visualizations, but you are tapping into all of this closed loop system to actually train employees in the context of that failure. so that the repeat failure of that particular oil seal leakage can be done in double quick time by somebody who's not so well trained, but with expert assistance. So this is another great leverage for and monetization, John, if you may, on your investments on digital twins.
Yeah.
Because now you are tackling a crucial last mile problem for your workers on the floor.
No, that's great. Maybe, Todd, if you want to just add the example of.
Yeah, I mean, it's just always interesting to me in tech, right? Because you start working on something and you walk into a customer or a client and you're talking about the most interesting big picture thing that you can solve.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna squeeze out more yield, or we're gonna redesign the factory, or we're gonna optimize tech transfer, or whatever it happens to be. And we were working with a client in Europe, and we found the thing that we were looking for, the thing that was gonna get them started, and it was exactly this. It was the quality person who is responsible for end-to-end quality, includes the training and optimization of the workforce, was like, that's why we need it, right? And basically, like you said, basic things. Can I break it in the digital environment and show them how to fix it? Because I cannot break that piece of equipment in reality, and there's no one there to show them how to fix it in the first place. So that, it's always just interesting, regardless of whether it's manufacturing or other parts. Like we get all geeked out about like the most like the exotic thing, and it's often like the most basic thing, the most human thing. That's what drives the near-term impact and outcome for our customers.
And then it's like a flywheel, right?
And then you can build on top of it, right? If you build it like a platform, then you iterate on top of it, and you get to all those other things. But you know, you can't just eat the elephant.
Yeah. The other thing which is linked to this, perhaps, just to mention it, John, is you spoke about value and KPIs and that focus on that. So many of these use cases, Todd, that you mentioned are actually very closely linked to the causal analysis on the shop floor. A maintenance failure is really not a maintenance failure. It may be a batch issue, it may be a one part issue, it may be one control, but building that and doing that causal analysis is what drives that. So that's just wanted to mention that. That's a side effect, if you may, of driving that.
Prasad, I'm going to use it. I'm going to steal that whole enterprise brain. You know, you're building this knowledge of how to make things that's in some people's heads, right? I'm using it, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
First one's free.
So I guess, you know, given all the excitement around this, the value that clearly does exist, let's talk about some of the challenges. What are some lessons learned with the implementations we've done so far, especially when it comes to scaling it, right? So we want to get out of this POC concept, and we're truly, because the ROI is generated when you do it at scale. So when we're looking at it from that lens, maybe John, we'll start with you and go across.
So 2 lessons learned that come to mind. I read a quote the other day. We've all heard it. When's the best time to plant a tree? Well, of course, 20 years ago would have been great, but the next best time is now. And I would say it's some of these Todd talked about, do you eat the whole elephant? I mean, you start, I got to digitize my factory. Holy mackerel, where do I start? Well, just start. Pick the highest impact factory or production line and start there, and just start, because you'll learn along the way, you'll iterate. Every day you're going to come up with another idea of how to improve it, but you got to get started. Don't sit and plan for 3, 6, 7 months. And the other lesson learned, I'd say, that has really been emphasized to me in the last 6 months is partnering with IT. You know, we're talking about all these cool use cases up here, but the reality is it takes this IT infrastructure. You need certain secure servers on site. You need sensors on a machine to collect this data. You need to invest in some maintenance system to collect all the maintenance tickets, you know, in a sense that you're going to aggregate later and have a better understanding. So when you start to build out your strategy, I would say IT is a key partner with you to make sure you get that infrastructure in place. Those are 2 that come to mind right away.
For me, it's like any other technology journey. There's a people aspect, right? It's like the people, the process. How are you bringing folks along? How are you getting them bought into what you're trying to do? Their knowledge is going to be necessary for you to be successful in this whole process. So not losing track of that, you're going to disrupt how they work. You're going to ask them to do things differently. You're hopefully giving them things that make their lives better and their work better. But essentially the people that have been there for 25, 30 years aren't as excited about that, right? So that's how do you start to get those folks engaged really early on in the process and make them part of it, I think matters quite a bit. And any transformation, I always feel like understanding that there's a business strategy component to this and being aligned to what those pillars are for your organization, right? Like what are the key outcomes you're aiming for? Because there's different outcomes that can be, we've already talked about a lot of them that can be provided by this technology. And then when you go and you do chunk it out and you work on a piece of it, how do you make sure you know that that's aligned to that and make sure everyone that understands that's working on that project, what are the OKRs and the KPIs, the results that you're hoping for, and that aligns back to the business strategy. Like if you can do those two things, there's tons of intelligent people out there that know technology, right? There's tons of organizations that know that. These projects generally don't fail because you stumbled on something associated with that. They generally fail because of people or misalignment to outcomes.
I mean, so you just define leadership with influence. That's what it is, right? So maybe you could add?
I will distill it down to, you've covered almost all the ground. I'll just, so this is just addition, since the question asked. I would say the value pivot is very important. A lot of times, everything as a new proof of technology, it starts like that. Take NVIDIA Omniverse, for example, like building simulation digital twins is new. And so everybody wants, show me the proof, like it really works. So the key is that when you are doing that proof of concept or proof of technology, if you are not building the bigger value picture across 45 of your plants on how you will do horizontal scaling and vertical scaling, that means taking multiple use cases in one particular plant and one use case across multiple plants. That kind of a construct and with defined value for each use case is necessary.
Right.
And that's one of the big lessons learned from multiple of those scars on the back on like abandoning 50 of those POCs and not going to scale. The only other point I want to make is the infrastructure readiness. You spoke about getting the CIO on board. It is so critical that at the site level, at the plant level, you not only have the sign-off of the plant manager and they're bought into the strategy, but also you have the IT function, IT, OT environment, all of that signed off on like my site is ready, I can scale it, my infrastructure readiness is a key component of that.
Yeah, and I feel like that also helps you scale across the rest of the operational environment, right? Because we were talking about manufacturing, but you mentioned supply chain and the whole end-to-end operations. If you leave out sort of the technology organization that supports that team, you end up just here, right? And you don't get that follow-on value that really, really matters.
That's why the horizontal and vertical scaling strategy really helps out, that how are you looking at a plant's problems and the problems across the entire network.
I really like on that theme of digital twin, Prasad and Todd, you talking about what really magic really happens when you have the product data in a system. And you can overlay that onto the digital twin of your factory and see these interactions. And now you can start to launch a product faster. With less issues in the beginning. I mean, that really gets exciting what you guys are talking about.
Oh yeah, that's not lessons learned, but if we can do it, we have this vision of like this closed loop situation where you're gaining, especially in the medical environment, you're gaining access to real world information, you're identifying potential label expansion, and then you're feeding that into your digital twin to say, can I do that?
Right.
And where can I do that? And how quickly can I do that? And then being able to do that in a closed loop on a very fast pace. Many medical tech companies and pharma companies, they may only look at 10 candidate label expansions in a year. Imagine if you're looking at 10 a week and you can verify if you can do it. Like it's such an amazing opportunity when you start to think about the end-to-end value chain.
I mean, so when you get out of, so there are so many use cases within manufacturing and supply chain, but then there are so many ancillary ones. And I think what you all are talking about is build that digital core, right? And then you can keep scaling. So it's like Lego blocks, and we've seen enough of Lego blocks here at Microsoft Ignite. So maybe Aniket, if there's anything else?
I second all the points. I think the only thing I would like to add is quantifying what the KPIs are and what success looks like. Like you mentioned, process optimization, error correction. I think that's something that's important. But again, coming back to like the ecosystem comment, like getting the right partners and the stack, I think that's something that we've seen would lead to success for some of these POCs.
You know, one thing, and Prasad, would love your perspective on this, when we're talking about reinventing manufacturing, because we don't want to put digital technology on existing process. This is a golden opportunity to reinvent the process. Yeah. And so maybe if you could just talk about that and the framework, that would be great.
So with so much of wealth of information on why would we fail and what has not worked in the past, and a lot of scars on the back. What we did at Accenture is created a 4-element, very simple framework. Element 1 of that is how to rethink your workbench. And workbench is nothing but your tool chain, digital tool chain, right from PLM, in ALM in some cases, to DS, all the way into your production planning, scheduling, into the operate environment. So rethinking that workbench and how the digital twins and the entire capability is going to redesign that. Mm-hmm. The next element, the second element is reimagining the work itself. Yeah. Because you're not going to do the work the way you were doing it in the past. Right. So you think about workbench, you think about work, and these are not really sequential steps. You have to do kind of iterate on those. Third, and one of the most critical elements of this entire framework for reinvention, as we call it, is the workforce. Because if you step ahead into the future, you are looking at a hybrid workforce environment. Humans in loop, digital workers, digital agents, and then you are also talking about humanoids and robots, all of that as a resource working together to orchestrate an environment. Mm. That's a massive change for all of us, and more so for a production worker who has to deal with a cobot and a humanoid working alongside. These are real life scenarios today. Many of our clients are, and we have implemented that. How do you train a humanoid to work with it? That's the Scheffler example that we work together on how do you deploy it, how do you train it, and how do you do real tasks alongside. So those are very important considerations in that reinvention. The final one is enterprise digital brain, because what is happening really is the knowledge that we have gained after years of running transactions, doing maintenance work, running production, dealing with supplier disruptions, dealing with production scheduling issues, quality issues, all of that is tremendous value. So you're using all of that to continuously refine and train your own specific language model, if you may, so that now you are creating the right environment with both 3D assets, 2D assets, and the data. Mm. So both structured, unstructured, streaming, and 3D graphic assets, all of that is comprising, along with the history, as your knowledge brain. So think of this entire framework in those 4 elements: reimagining workbench, rethinking work, rethinking your workforce, and building the enterprise digital brain. Those are the 4 key elements.
That's great. And this is my last question, and the panelists have no idea what that question is. So
yes. I'm still thinking about that environment of like robots and agents and like humanoids and everyone working. Like my eyes rolled back in my head. I got confused and scared a little bit. So
okay.
It's real.
It's real, I know.
One word answer.
Oh no.
What are you most excited about when it comes to reinventing manufacturing with digital twin? Just one word. John, we'll start with you.
I would say something about fulfillment. And the reason I say that is Todd's comment earlier on, I want the engineers I work with every day to be solving the cool problems. I really don't want them having to learn how to take 10 hours to find the data, to get what's the problem. I want them to work on the problem and make this world a better place and grow their skills while they're doing it. So I think I'm excited because I think humans are, even with the amount of robots that we just touched on and everything else, it's going to be more fulfilling, our everyday jobs, and because of this data-rich environment with all these agentic AI and everything else.
Awesome.
I'm really happy I get to go second.
Kind of stole yours, Todd.
Well, you sort of did. Like that's a really good word choice if you think about it, because like it's both fulfilling and you're fulfilling people, you're fulfilling delivery. It's like you nailed it, John. So I'm screwed. I was thinking outcomes, honestly, like outcomes across the whatever it happens to be, because we talked about that, and I was trying to think of one word that tied it back to the healthcare side of it, honestly, because I think there's everything we do in these companies is ultimately rooted in that. So I'm going to say outcomes.
That's great.
Oh, I'm excited about acceleration with the digital twins on how we can deliver those outcomes, because in medtech and life sciences, you are actually providing assistance for somebody to get better, it's life-saving. So accelerating towards that.
Nice.
That's good.
We love the acceleration word. I would say impact, especially impact to patients. It's easy to lose sight with all the robots and all the technology. And
Yeah, we're really picking on your vision here. Yeah.
But I think actually, the reasons why we do this is because we want to accelerate these drugs to patients. Drug discovery is hard. Like, I know Jensen has said this before, like it's drug discovery. There's no guarantee of actually getting it right.
Cure.
So
It's 5% of the effort.
Exactly.
Like it's literally, that is, the rest of it is getting it to the customer.
Exactly. So
Patient.
it just helps us get that impact to the patients, and that's what keeps us going.
That's great. So I guess in conclusion then, the reshoring that we were talking about is an opportunity to do things differently and reinvent the process, like you spoke about, technology and the digital core, so that we can give our American workers and people across the world as well the superpower with software, AI, and robotics to scale manufacturing right the first time. So thank you so much for your attendance. And if you guys have any questions for the panelists, you can ask them after the session ends. So thank you again
Well, thank you.
for all your time.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone.